So welcome to my latest video. It's a bit blustery outside, so apologies if you hear any of that. It's that bad that they've cancelled the third day of the Royal Cornwall show, so it's got to be pretty bad. This video about some news that I read in a post from Practical Caravan is that Erwin Hymer Group, namely Eldis, are going to produce caravans again. Not for this year, but it's going to be for, I think if I read it correctly, there's going to be a dealer preview in the spring, which obviously is going to be next year, and then a public preview. Oh no, public outing will be in the October show next year. So I read it initially thinking it's going to be the October show this year, but it sounds like reading it again, it's the October show next year. So there's not going to be any caravans produced for this year, and whether that's going to be 2028 product, then I would have thought. I'm not too sure because I read it but I couldn't quite understand it, but then that's probably just me. So if you Google Practical Caravan or go onto Facebook and have a look at the Practical Caravan post, you can read it yourself. So I think it's not this year at the October show, it's going to be the following year at the October show. The main news is that they're going to be built in Germany at Erwin Hymer Group's factory that currently make Dethleffs caravans and motorhomes, I think. So that raises a few questions and a few interesting thoughts. Namely, what is the caravan going to look like? The perception of the German manufacturers is that it is built well, but whenever they try to bring the products into the UK, which they've tried to do, it's kind of just a slightly tweaked version of what they've got in on the continent, which never really works. The hobby tried to do it. Obviously, there's Hymer here, which they do make good caravans, but it's not as mainstream as a product that that Swift or previously Eldis or Bailey or Coachman produce. It isn't quite English enough. And I know it sounds a bit strange, but when I've said this before, when I was in hobby and they tried to bring their caravans over, they didn't quite understand that the layouts are different, the way we use the caravan is different, and the spec level has to be different and the comfort level is different as well. So you can get a German caravan and the build quality is good, but you bring it into the UK market and it just doesn't really work. You put the door on the right side, and hobby didn't even want to make the sides non-stippled because they say that it's much better and it's much stronger, but I was trying to explain, yes, that is the case, but we just don't like it. So you're not going to sell it. As soon as someone sees a stippled effect side caravan, it looks cheap to us and they're not going to buy it. So that's why it didn't really work. So this is interesting because when you look at the Dethleffs caravan, it does look very German, it looks solid, it looks well built, but again, it won't sell in the UK market. So is that product coming out of Germany and into the UK market that is badged as Eldis? I can see where it should be and what it should look like, but if it is just a product that is coming out of the factory that looks like the Dethleffs with the Eldis badge on it, that's just not going to work, and I'm fairly sure that they know that anyway. So until we actually see the product maybe next year, then we're just not going to know. But what would be absolutely fantastic if the build was made in the factory so that you had the expertise of the people building that really good quality product in Germany, all that expertise being put into the actual physical build, but it still looks like the traditional Eldis of nowadays, if you see what I mean, then that's going to be a bit of a game changer, I think, because like I said, we've always thought, and it's not strictly true, but we thought that the German products are better quality. And I think that's a bit of a kind of a hangover from, say, things like Skoda, where you wouldn't buy a Skoda in the 80s because it was a rust bucket from Eastern Europe, and then the Germans got hold of it and then transformed it into something absolutely fantastic, and it's one of the best cars out there now. The perception of the German product is that it is good quality and built well. It's just that it didn't sell into our market or not. So if it is built to that specification and standard and it's a really good product, but it still looks like the Eldis, and our styling is put into it, the UK styling, because let's face it, I mean, the Eldis looks fantastic last year, and going into this year it looked really good. So if it does look good, but the build quality is really good, then you could have kind of the holy grail of caravans. Is that, the quality is there, and the look of it and the feel of it is there, and the warranty kind of issues disappear, and also if the warranty does happen, then it needs to be dealt with over here, so that it's easy to do. Because that's the other thing, is whenever I've dealt with a German caravan, trying to get hold of the parts is an absolute nightmare. I dealt with Hobby for a little bit, and trying to speak to them to get products across, and then it taking weeks and weeks and weeks to do. And I know you might say, well, that's the same with some of the UK manufacturers, but they get a lot of their stuff from there anyway, so it's kind of very similar. But if they can produce a caravan that A, doesn't have warranty issues anyway, and B, when it does, that it's dealt with very easily and quickly, because all the main parts are in the UK up at the Concept factory, then that would be really good. So what does it mean to the market? Well, I would have thought that the UK manufacturers would say that they're not worried about the competition, and they just plough their own furrow, and they're getting on and doing what they're doing. But I would have kind of thought, if it was me that owned a caravan manufacturer, I'd be thinking, well, great, that's Eldis out the way. There's more sales for us to kind of divvy up between the rest of them. Now that's coming back in again. You think, oh, crikey, we've got more competition. Now they're probably wouldn't publicly say that, but that's what I would think. But I'm not a caravan manufacturer, but we're all human. So you'd have thought, oh, great, that's more for us. And they're thinking, oh, blimey, they're now bringing the product back into the market. And technically, in theory, if they get it right, it could be something that they can sell easily to the UK market, because they can really play on this German build quality, UK manufacturer's styling. And again, that could really play on what we think as a customer, where we think, oh, German's got to be good. Whether that's actually true or not remains to be seen. Now, why have they done that? Well, there's two reasons that I think. One is obviously it's an economical way to do things. If you've got a factory already producing caravans to a high standard, everything is pretty much shipped from the continent anyway, and then built in Germany, in the UK. So you're taking all the parts, and it's all got to be shipped over here and put together. So you might as well just build it all there and then ship the thing as a whole. And I think that the factories over there are very efficient, and it will be, again, interesting to see what they actually produce. So it's going to be more cost effective to build over there and bring it over here for those reasons. But also, I don't know, if you're thinking about it, the way I think about it is that, unfortunately, Eldis have had issues in the past. And in my last video, I did say that we would probably be getting the comments that I always get, where, oh, Eldis were only giving a year's worth of warranty on their panels, and the things were falling apart, and the 8-foot wide ones were splitting, and sunroofs going on, having all these issues. That was back in 2017 and 18. It's a world away from what the product is now, and that's what I tried to get across in my last videos. When I went to the factory and saw the data, it's a completely different product. It's like saying, oh, I'm not going to buy a Swift caravan because my Carver Cascade 2 Element packed up, so therefore I'm not going to buy one. It's irrelevant, because that's not the same caravan. Those things aren't in the caravans anymore. They've worked extremely hard to kind of get away from that, but unfortunately we hold on to those things, and that's the kind of the message that's out there. Because if you spent that kind of money on a caravan back then, and then you were faced with a £4,000 bill because your panels cracked a year after you bought it, then that's going to really sting. And that is going to be the message that you put across, regardless of where we are 6-7 years later, with the products completely different. Has got absolutely nothing to do with that. The people that are in charge back then who made those decisions aren't there anymore. Again, I've said this before, how you can even contemplate saying that to a customer, it boggles my mind. I just couldn't do it. But there you go. That's all in the past. So these days, that product that Eldis were building last year, I think was really good, and I've said in other videos that the infrastructure and the way the new team that are up there were looking at it from through different eyes. It wasn't from a caravan blinkered perspective where someone's been in the caravan industry for 30 odd years and that's how they do it. They came in from other areas where things really mattered, and you had to get it right. And all they've done is come and taken that ethos into the factory. And so I was disappointed when I was seeing the manufacturers stop selling the caravans, because I thought it could be really good. But the problem with that is, again, holding on to all these issues in the past, and it's very difficult for, I think, the buying public to forget that and then have a fresh start. So this could be a marketing stroke of genius where Eldis can now draw a line, in the sand and say, right, that was back then. This isn't what's happening now. These products are being built in Germany. It's completely different. This is a new Eldis product. Forget what you've known and learnt and experienced. This is the new kind of era. So it is like wiping the slate clean and saying this is nothing to do with that. And from the customer's point of view, from your buying point of view, it's an easy thing to see. Is right, they're not being built here anymore. They're not being built by those people that I think built my old caravan which fell apart, regardless of whether the management are the same or not, because they're not. Those decisions aren't going to be made anymore, and say that's old hat. Try and forget that. Now it's going to be interesting in your comments if you were one of those people that got burnt and bought an Eldis product and had issues with it and vowed never to buy another one again. Would this then entice you back into the Eldis family and say, look, okay, it is being built in Germany. It's nothing to do with the factory anymore. Those people and processes have gone. Would you put your money into that new product thinking, right, okay, let's give them the benefit of the doubt and start again? That's what I think Eldis would love to know, and they're probably trying to find that out, I would have thought, because that's what I would want to know. Can we reclaim all the people that we've annoyed over the years and lost as a customer? Can we regain those back into the fold and sell them a product that they can be happy with and have confidence in? And I think that could be a stroke of genius. Whether it was, that was in the back of their minds or not, or whether I'm talking rubbish, you're the ones that are spending the money on the caravans. You could then say, yeah, actually, now look, this product is completely different, like the Skoda. The Skoda is being built in Eastern Europe, now it's being built in Germany, so you're going to buy it. It could be the same kind of thing. So that would be interesting from your point of view. To put in the comments to say, yeah, actually, look, I'm going to have a look at the product. I mean, that is the key, is looking at the product. If it looks like that Dethlefs with an Eldis badge on it, it's not going to sell. If it's built like the Dethlefs but looks like the Eldis and has got the Eldis badge and the Eldis ethos behind it, with the UK specifications and upholstery and curtains and all that kind of stuff, then you could then say, well, actually, this could be like the holy grail of caravans, with the build quality of the Germans and the look of the UK spec. Then that could be really good. So what does it mean from a market point of view? Well, one of the guesses that I had from Eldis making that decision was that there's not enough market out there to divvy up between all the manufacturers out there. And so it was kind of like, well, look, there's not enough people buying caravans. It's not worth bothering with. Just let them get on with that and we'll crack on with motorhomes. And motorhomes have been strong, but things change, and they can change within a few months. I always think that there's a kind of a buying cycle, that all the people that are buying motorhomes, or there certainly used to be with caravans, it used to be a kind of a 4 or 5 year buying cycle, where someone would buy a new caravan, they keep it for 4 or 5 years, and then that's where the best time to sell it is to kind of retain value in it, is a 4 or 5 year old caravan, and then the new caravans weren't that much more money to buy. So you were looking at a price of change that was acceptable. Now that has changed recently with the prices of the caravans shooting up, but I think that's stabilised now actually. So we might kind of be seeing the prices to change being reasonable, rather than £20,000 after you've owned a caravan for 3 years, which was just like, well, there's no point changing for that kind of money. So the buying cycles with the motorhomes I think we had an issue after through COVID when we couldn't get hold of the parts, so there was a backup. Then there's a load of people bought, and then it's gone quiet with motorhomes, and now we're back in the position where lots of people are buying motorhomes, but that can change within a season. And then the caravans can pick up. We don't really know what's going to happen with the worldwide view and people wanting to go abroad and things. And if the market is stabilising and the prices aren't shooting up enough, and also from Eldis's point of view, if they are building it more efficiently, they could reduce the price. I know they reduced the price by quite a bit last year compared to what it was the year before. It certainly didn't go up, and it came down a little bit for the 2026 products. Before they stopped making them, so that we could be in a position where building it in Germany could then knock a couple of extra £1,000 off the product. We just don't know yet, and then that will put them in a good position. So is the market going to get stronger? Are we going to be selling more new caravans, or is it going to keep shrinking? And obviously, Eldis have made a decision, or the Erwin Hymer Group have made a decision that there is enough market out there, and whether they actually can sell the Eldis product into Europe, that could be another thing. Obviously, that's a massive market. If they can switch it round and have a caravan that's built in Germany and UK spec, I have seen and have thought that the German product is getting a bit more kind of UK looking, whereas the people over there want a little bit more luxury when, it was just a basic van just to get people out there holidaying. Now I think, the continent is maybe kind of catching up to our way of thinking. So who knows? Eldis might be thinking, actually, if we make a UK product and we can sell it to the continent, then that could be a massive thing. That might be, I hadn't even thought of that might be a way of doing it, because I know Swift and Bailey do sell into the continent and to other places as well, South Korea and places like that. So it is a worldwide market, and they may be looking at that. But if the UK market does stay where it is and even maybe pick up a little bit, then that would be good. And they may well be thinking again that they're going to, with the historical issues with Swift and Bailey, which I think are being addressed, but again, like I've said earlier, it's very difficult for us to let go of these things when you've got a Facebook group dedicated to a product issue. It can't be good, and I know Swift are doing an issue. Changing the sunroof fix, and it's yet to be seen whether that will last for the next 2 or 3 years. We need to know whether that fix works, and we can only really find that out in 2 or 3 years when they've had a really good testing in the real world. So there may be people out there that are thinking, well, do I want to buy another Swift because we don't know whether the sunroof's going to work or not? I think for my 2 penneth, I think it will, but I'm not the one putting my money where my mouth is. So our Eldis thinking, actually, we're going to come along and take a bigger slice of the market, because I haven't actually physically seen the figures, but you'd think it's Swift and Bailey, and then Eldis were a bit behind, and they may be thinking, well, actually we can pinch a bit of that market by having this German UK hybrid caravan, which would sit in with what people think that would be a fantastic product to actually buy. And again, we've got to see it. It does have to look right, it has to feel right, and it has to do what the UK market wants it to do. So I was hoping to see it this October. I was looking forward to thinking, I can go to the October show and see the new Eldis product, but it looks like it's going to be not this year. They said next year at the October show. So yeah, that gives them plenty of time to kind of ramp up and work out what they're doing with it. They may well know exactly what it's going to look like already. Only they will know that. And if there is a dealer preview somewhere in the UK in the spring, that would be a good thing to maybe get someone in there to have a look at it and get a really good kind of idea as to what the product's going to look like. Now they're clever people. They know a hell of a lot more than I do, so they probably realise all these things. But I can see what it should look like, and I can see what it's not going to look like, because I've been doing it a long time, and I've also seen when Adria started to bring their products into the UK. Very early on, it was just their product with the door on the right side, and I knew as soon as someone saw that great big table that you could fold down and you couldn't put anywhere, as soon as they saw that, they walked out. So they had to change that to be able to sell into the UK market, which they did do. And there's lots of little things like that where you just think, well, if you bring a caravan over and it's got that in it, it's not going to sell. If you bring a caravan over like that, it's not going to sell. But if you do this, it will sell. So I'm going to try and leave it there. You know what I'm like? I'll say that and then something else will pop into my head. So new caravan coming out of Germany, hopefully German build quality, UK specifications, for not this season, for the following season. I would have thought that's 2028. I don't know whether the Germans have the same kind of weird thing where we produce a caravan for the following year in September. I don't know how they do it over there, whether they probably start on the 1st of January. So it might well fit in with how they build their caravans, and I'm not sure. So the most important thing I think to get out of this video is, if you are a disgruntled Eldis owner, and I know they're out there because I always get the comments, would this turn your head and then maybe get you thinking, actually, I'm going to look at the Eldis product again? Because, like I said, with this, with what they were doing at the factory already, then I think that the product is going to be really good. The ethos is the same as what I saw up there with all that data that I saw that I wasn't allowed to talk about. If the ethos is the same, where there is an issue and you get it straight in there and it gets sorted out and solved, then that's the best thing that can possibly happen. And then 3 or 4 years down the line, it is going to be a new product, but it is a new product based on the track record of building. It's not like they're just starting again and it's a new build process. They may well use the build process from Dethleffs. It may be the build process from here is taken over there and they use their tools and expertise to do it. I don't know. It'd be interesting to find that out as to what the build's actually going to be. Whether they're going to use composite materials or stick with the wood, which I did have some comments about that actually last time, about the wood still being used where everyone else has gone composite. But I did explain that when you look at the data and you don't have any issues with a place that can use wood is the best thing to use. It's strong, lightweight, it's malleable. It is better than other materials. The only downside it does do is move water. But if you've never had a problem in that area there, then you can still use wood, because the chances are you're never going to get a problem again. So using wood isn't a bad thing. And I know other manufacturers will say it's all composite, so you can't have any issues, which is true. But if you build the caravan right and you look at the data, you don't have to use composite materials in a place that has never had an issue and is never likely to have an issue. So having wood in the caravan isn't a bad thing. And I know that a lot of the Germans still use wood. They haven't gone to composite. I know the hobbies were wood when I saw them last. I don't know what it is now, because they say, well, it doesn't leak, so it doesn't matter, which is pretty much what he said. So yeah, you, the buying public, if you are a disgruntled Eldis previous owner, would you have a look at that product again? And if it looks and feels exactly how it should do, would you then come back into that fold? That would be interesting to know. And if you are a Swift owner, or you're looking at buying next year and you're thinking, actually this is good, if you're dead set on a Swift or a Bailey or whatever, is this news going to start to get you thinking, actually, I'm going to look at that product as well, which I think you would do anyway. But there are some die-hard Eldis and Swift and Bailey owners out there, and it would be interesting to know if you would then look at a product that's built in Germany and designed for the UK market. So as always, put the comments in there. It'll be dead interesting to see where this goes. I don't make many videos unless I've actually got something to say, and thanks for sticking with it. If you have, I know I do waffle on, I'm sorry about that, but I have tried to kind of write it all down and stop repeating myself, but I like just doing it because I think other things come out that I hadn't thought about before. So yeah, like and subscribe, do all that kind of stuff, and I'd love to go to the factory in Germany and see how they're doing that. That might be interesting. If I ever could have an invite, that would be cool. And I don't know if I've been asked to go and have a look at the stuff in a dealer special preview in the spring. I might just keep an ear out to the ground and see where that is and see if it's someone I know or not. that would be cool to go and have a look. So I could have a bit of a preview just to kind of give you my thoughts and what I thought about it. I mean, you might not care. So yeah, like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff, and let's see where this goes. It could be quite an interesting thing to keep an eye on.